So the problem you're being asked to solve is to simplify 7x to the ninth, y to the negative 1, and then that whole quantity is to the power of negative 2. So what you did is completely correct, that you said, well, I'm going to use the product property of exponents that says I can write this as 7 to the negative 2 times x to the ninth to the negative 2 times y to the negative 1 to the negative 2. And that's one way to approach the problem. You have a lot of properties of exponents, and you can use them in any order. It just depends on how you like to attack this type of problem. I would probably first look at there's a negative exponent here, and I would say this is the same thing as 1 over 7x to the ninth, y to the negative 1, to the power of positive 2 by the properties of negative exponents. So it says if I have b to the negative n, then that's 1 over b to the positive n. So that's just another way of thinking about the problem that may be a little less confusing. But we'll proceed the way you have done it so we can see how that will also work and give us the very same answer. So you can see this b to the negative n part here with your 7 to the negative 2. That means you can write that as 1 over 7 squared. Then you have times x till you use the property of exponents that says if I have something to 1 power and then that's raised to a new power, I should multiply the powers. So that will give me x to the negative 18 here. And then I have times y to, that's going to now be the positive 2, because negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. So how I think of negative exponents is, if you have a negative exponent, you're in the wrong part of the fraction. So if you're in a numerator, and you can think of this as being over 1 as in a numerator, then really that x belongs in the denominator with a power of positive 18. So my 7 squared is going to be 49. I'm going to have x to the positive 18 in the denominator, and then y squared in the numerator, because you can also think of this as being over a 1 if you like. So this is our simplified answer. So let's look at it this other way that I suggested, where I first take care of the negative exponent by saying that's 1 over the same quantity to the positive 2 power. So now I'm working with positive exponents. So this is going to be 1 over 7 squared, x to the ninth squared, y to the negative 1 squared. So you can see you're still getting your 49 and your x to the 18 on the bottom, and now you have y to the negative 2 on the bottom. Well, again, you can think of that negative exponent as you're in the wrong part of the fraction, so the y needs to be in the top of the fraction with a positive 2 exponent over 49x to the 18. So if you still have questions, please let me know. This is challenging for lots of students, and you remember that you can click the similar exercise button as many times as you like until you really feel like you're solid on this concept. This is an essential concept. If you're going on to any other math class after Math D, this is going to be really important to have mastered. And it's also helpful when we do scientific notation. So let me know if you still have questions.